Good afternoon, Mr. Cranier. Another lesson in Math Plus and Algebra 1, literal equations and formulas. This is benchmark 6, not benchmark 16. I can solve a formula in terms of a variable. All right, the definition of a literal equation. A literal equation is an equation with two or more variables. So on your notes, you want to go ahead and fill in two or more variables. Here's an example, two of them here. Make sure you put this down in your notes. Keep the notes when you're done. X equals B minus C over A, and another one is Z equals 2/5 X times Y plus 3. Again, in both these equations, you see that there's two or more variables. Right? So when you're solving a literal equation, as you guys flip your notes, one, you have to locate the variable you are asked to solve for the equation. Step two, you have to identify the operations uh, on the variable and the order in which they are applied. And step three, you want to use the inverse operations to undo operations and to isolate the variable. Again, step one, make sure you locate the variable. Step number two, you make sure you identify the operations to get the variable by itself. And number three, make sure you use the inverse operations to isolate that variable. All right, once you guys turn the page, here goes the first example. Letter A, solve x plus y equals 15 for x. So you're solving for x. Make sure you locate x in the variable or in the equation. So as you locate x in the equation, you want to find out what is happening to that x. In this case, letter A, that y is being added to the x. So you want to do the inverse operation of adding by y. So let's go ahead, locate the x. Since y is being added to the x, do the opposite of adding by y, subtract y on both sides. And when you subtract y on both sides, you'll have 15 minus y, or negative y plus 15. X is solved for, and you can move on to your next literal equation. And step B, or letter B, you want to solve for q. So you have p times q equals x. Number one, locate where your variable you're trying to solve. So it's letter Q. As you identify and locate your Q, what's the operation between the P and the Q? In this case, you can see it's getting multiplied. So when you undo that operation, you're going to divide P on both sides. So you'll have Q equals X over P. At this moment, you probably want to just pause, make sure you understand how to solve a literal equation. You will be obviously assessed on this particular lesson in the near future. Let's go ahead to the next example. All right. So once again, you want to solve for t, and your equation states 5 minus b equals 2t. Right. Number one, locate the t in the equation. All right, so the t is on the right side of the equal sign. Now let's find out what the operation between the 2 and the t is. All right, you got it. It's getting multiplied by 2. That t is getting multiplied. So the inverse operation for multiplying by 2, let's divide on both sides by 2. So one side, you have 5 minus b over 2, and then the other side is the 2 divided by 2, which gives you the 1t. And your final answer is 5 minus b over 2. All right. Any questions so far? We did several problems already in class. If you have any questions, please communicate that to myself, or you can go on Khan Academy You could talk to any math teachers as well. Last one. You have a formula, area of a triangle. You should be familiar with this. Uh, area of a triangle equals a half of the base times height. So we want to go ahead and solve for h. We want to solve for that height. Again, number one, locate the h in the equation. So since the h is on the right side of the equal sign, we want to get rid of the half and we want to get rid of the b. So in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and divide. Actually, instead of dividing by a half, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. Reciprocal of the 1 over 2. So the 2's will cancel, the 1's will cancel. Do the same thing on the other side. You got 2a equals bh. All right. Again, we want to solve just for h, so let's divide both sides by b. So there it is. H is by itself. You solve for that literal equation, 2a over b. And that's pretty much it for the lesson. Hope you enjoyed. And again, communicate if you have any questions.